So I hope
Thank you.
we have only 4 to 5 participants. Let's see if anyone can join in future. So let's go for our learning objectives. So basically today's session is about multiple intelligence and how we can integrate multiple intelligence during the lesson plans in align with the assessment. So basically we have just targeted assessment, how we can align multiple intelligence with um, uh, formative assessment or summative assessment in PYP program or in MYP program. So these are the 4 objectives we have today in our session. Okay, so let's move to uh, ice breaking session. In the ice breaking session, there is one task for all of you. Here is the question. So if you join from your computer, the question may not visible in the screen, but if you join from your iPhone, so that or any phone device, then the question may displayed in the link. So I'm going to share the link with all of you in the chat box. And here is the question. So before you joining the link, please read the question that will easy for you to. So the question is, you need to write one word that describes your current understanding or feeling about differentiated assessment or multiple intelligence. So let's see. I'm going to Okay, so I can see some of you are already started importing it. You can choose 2 words. There is 2 options, so you can choose 2 words to to write your reflections about, or 1 word that describe about your current feelings, or about multiple intelligence, or maybe differentiated task. So I can see some of you wrote choice, then learning for all, then student centered. Is there anything else you would like to share? Great. Okay. If you would like to even unmute yourself and share something, you can do that. Is there anyone who would like to talk about multiple intelligence? We have some ideas about multiple intelligence. Then we can move to the next slide, next activity. Yes, Miss
I
Manjur.
think it's easier to
Sure.
speak than type. So, multiple intelligence, if I talk about, it's about how children are, basically in simple words, wired, how they learn. So, there are children who are very kinesthetic, the way they learn. Some students are like very stronger linguistically. So, you can teach the same topic to, and differentiate with the children according to their abilities. So, and it was a theory put forward by Howard Gardner. This is the pedagogical part of it. Uh, yeah, and differentiated instruction is like, so for example, so I'm a science teacher, so if I'm taking photosynthesis as a class for my students, I would rather, probably for a visual learner, I would
Mm-hmm.
try and figure out after my discussion, probably a video where he or she can connect to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a person who's much more, linguistic, maybe a short paragraph or a comprehension where, the person can read and try to comprehend to the learning.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a role play of how photosynthesis happens for a kinesthetic child. So I can
Great.
do it 3 different ways.
Wow. You know a lot of things, Miss. Thank you so much for sharing your thought. Is there anyone else who would like to share? What?
Maybe I can go next.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure,
okay.
sure,
So
sir.
yeah,
Sure.
I wrote there student-centered because this is basically putting the student in the center of learning instead of having an activity which tailors to your comfortability as a teacher. You need to check instead how your students are receiving the receiving the information, receiving the the concepts that should be that is presented in class for that particular day, and understanding how they receive it as well. Like just like what Miss Manju mentioned, whether they're more inclined to linguistics or more inclined to being kinesthetic. So yeah, basically understanding that the student should be the center of the whole process of learning
Thank you, sir.
and teaching.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share one thing. Is there anyone else? I'm sorry. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Otherwise, I may share my thought. Okay. So what I'm thinking, sir, one of my teacher in my team, a couple of years back, I conducted one workshop based on multiple intelligence in my school. They were one of the teacher, not homeroom teacher. He's a specialist teacher from PSP. So he personal social physical education teacher, right? So he asked me one question. So is this workshop is only for the homeroom teachers, the teachers who takes unit of inquiry, maths, English, or science, or social studies? Is it for the specialist teacher as well? Can we also be the part of multiple intelligence, or can we also think of this theory to implement in our class? I said yes. No matter you are a homeroom teacher or no matter you are a specialist teacher, every teacher in every lessons, any concept or topic, the teacher can integrate his or her topic with multiple intelligence, because even though you are a teacher of a PSP, more maybe most of the tasks will be based on kinesthetic, right? Right. If the teacher who teach music, maybe most of the tasks can be connected with musical or maybe visual multiple intelligence. So it's not like that there is a particular subject or concept is for multiple intelligence in any concept, though our unconference topic is about assessment, but in any concept, any task, any assessment, we can integrate or align with multiple intelligence. That I do follow the theory. It is also what I do in our school, in my present school, as I am the leader. We have created one template, a lesson plan template. So in a lesson plan template, every day the teachers, when they write down the learning objectives, main tasks, and the exit card tasks, they also mention what is the how the topic is integrated or aligned with multiple intelligence. So they write one or two multiple intelligence name as well. It also reflects when they write down the anecdotal records, no matter it is a class-based anecdotal record or no matter it is a formative assessment anecdotal record. So when the teachers are writing the anecdotal records, they also mention the multiple intelligence of different students, which is is not also when the teachers are writing the report card comments at the end of every unit, the teachers are mentioned which multiple intelligence the child belongs to, because we are writing mostly the IB teachers, they're mostly writing about the learner profiles, ATL skills, but they're not writing the multiple intelligence because parents wanted to know what categories they are focused on. And literally next unit the teachers may focus, okay, the child is more connected with the kinesthetic, now I need to put him in the linguistic intelligence. So when the teachers are writing in the anecdotal records, writing the report card comments, mentioning in the lesson plan, it helps the teachers to be always connected with the multiple intelligence. Do you have any questions regarding it, the teachers? Okay, so I'm moving to the next slide. So teachers, here you can see the multiple in the Gardner's theory, right? And there are different multiple intelligence like interpersonal, linguistics, naturalistic, and visual, all different types of learn multiple intelligence. Now there is a reading article. I'm going to share the link of the article in the chat box, and I would request you to read for 15 minutes, and then we can discuss more about multiple intelligence. Okay. Here's the link in the chat box. I would like to request you to read the article, and I'm also going to share the screen of the article so that those who could not access, they can read from my screen. Yeah. Teacher Dan, did you enjoy reading the multiple intelligence? Great. Okay, just let me get back to the slide. Okay, teachers. So now I would like to know about the prior knowledge assessment of the teachers. So think of a recent lesson or activity you have applied or adopted in your classroom that can be targeted to the diverse learners of your students. That you targeted maybe 2 or 3 group of people or group of students where you think of to assigning differentiated tasks to the students. I'm just giving you 2 minutes to think, or if that will be great if you can unmute yourself and share. Maybe recently you have applied any of the multiple intelligence in your classroom. You can raise your hand, then you can unmute yourself.
Rezuan, can I
Yes, sure, sure,
say?
sure, sure,
Right.
sure.
Yeah. So there was this differentiation technique that was taught by Miss Ashika in one of her sessions.
Mm-hmm.
It was called something to do with dice, where you roll the dice,
Okay,
and it was based on the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy.
okay.
And so the most basic part of Bloom's taxonomy, which is, I think, recall and remember, I think. So
Yeah, this is the
then
first stage.
yeah, so you have very basic factual questions like that. So children had to roll the dice, and whatever number it showed on the dice, they
Mm-hmm.
were supposed to go to that level of complexity and try and solve it.
Okay.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think the like you talked about physical and kinesthetic, so
Yes,
that
exactly. So this is
came in.
targeted to the kinesthetic multiple intelligence.
Yeah, yeah. So then also I think along with that it was
Logical.
also, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so there were like these I don't know if naturalist intelligence would come into play here in this activity.
Can be,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Can be, yeah. It can be connected. Yeah, great. Thank you, Miss. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Sure,
May I?
sure, sure, Miss.
So this was for the grade 6 that I had done once. It
Mm-hmm.
was a project. So it was we had learned about endangered. So it was the unit was on adaptation ecosystem basically.
Okay.
So it
Mm-hmm.
was on adaptation habitat, and we had moved to endangered animals and plants, and we were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time, so it was given like a small project. So during this
Mm-hmm.
time, we had our the Dasera break. So it's a festival
Mm-hmm.
for people who don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
we used to get 10, so we get 10 days break over there. So
Mm-hmm.
this was just prior to that, 2 3 days before that. So then I gave them it was more like voice and choice to choose what they want to do. And I know I had a special student in my class as well. So for
Mm-hmm.
her, I had to curate a little bit of reading that I could give her. So there were students who are very inclined to drawing and art, where they took up the project of creating a flip book on different endangered, after learning this thing. And
Mm-hmm.
there were a group of children who were traveling during that break to a place called Bandipur, which has a natural forest, the sanctuary. So it's a tiger reserve in South India. So they created a kind of an Instagram reel, audio, video, visual, kind of Instagram reel on, what they learned, the, endangered species tiger. So we had different products. So this is actually a differentiation in product. So you get different things from different groups of children, and that was the task given during that time. And mostly it was enjoyable because they picked up the task they really wanted to, how they wanted to showcase their learning.
Great. So what do you think? Which intelligence it can be aligned with the task?
So, they were also children who did a little bit of data collection, the ones who traveled. Okay, so that I think that comes under logical because math is involved, and the amount
Involved,
of,
connected.
yeah, the tigers which are, there in the forest, and how many perished over the years and things, the data collection basically. And so I think it's people who work together. It was intrapersonal,
As
in
it
a
is a
group.
group work.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think. It was more on I think it was more of differentiated product. So
Great.
like product, environment, and process. So I think this is product.
Great. Thank you, Miss. Thank you so much. Well done. Okay. So yeah. So I can share one example that recently one of our teacher, she has the unit was sharing the plan, I guess, no, or where we are in place and time, and the big concept about the simple machines, and she has demonstrated the different machines, different types of tools in the classroom as a prior knowledge. So all those things she kept it in the one treasure box, and she took out the different tools of those the different machines like motors, all those things, different kinds of gadgets. And the students, they were very excited because the students are in grade 1, and they were very excited to see different parts of different machines, and the fan, all those stuffs. And the students, they're mentioning the different tools name. Some of them, they could mention, some of them they could not, but that was the final assessment of the teacher, of the student. The teacher wanted to see the students, either they really know about different tools names of the machine, because the whole unit was basically focused on the simple machines. And she bought also some of the robotics machines from the robotics lab, and that was basically for the students, raise their hand, they came to see the thing. So it is connected with the visualized intelligence. So the students, those are really good in visuals. And also it is connected with the she has given one task to the students to write what they have seen, like through I think, I wonder, group tasks. The students wrote the stuff. So it is also connected with the linguistics, because they wrote the reflections on the visible thinking routine. So that's how the teachers can integrate 2 or 3 intelligence in the classroom. So the students will enjoy it. They will going to give a reflections, and the teacher going to show some demonstrations through to experiments, to showing some flashcards. And that's how the students will develop their intelligence on different sector or different criteria of the intelligence, multiple intelligence. Now, let's discuss how multiple intelligence could be applied in your classroom to assess students creatively. So, what you do basically to, assess the students' creative way in your classroom. Would you like to share?
Rezuan, are you talking of formative or summative assessments?
Yeah, can be also, daily observations, like in IB, right? We are also checking their primary assessments. These are also part of assessment. Self-assessment, this is also part of assessment. Peer assessment, this is also part of assessment. So you can share your thought. Maybe you can count as a primary assessments or formative assessment, or maybe any summative assessments, or maybe a daily activity.
Okay. So I can share something.
Sure.
Something what I do as a
Mm-hmm.
norm in
Mm-hmm.
every lesson of mine
Mm-hmm.
is start the lesson with a daily review.
Okay.
So a daily review is a 5 minute, uh, and it could be any kind of strategy. It could be like we went through different kinds of strategies today. It could be a see, think, wonder. It could be 3, 2, 1, KWL, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that low stakes and gets done in 5 minutes, but it is a recap of what students have done in the recent past or past. So
Mm-hmm.
that's daily reviews. I do that.
Great. So what do you think is what multiple intelligence can be connected with that?
Uh, what kind of multiple?
Maybe linguistics, if they write it. Do you think
Yeah.
linguistics
So there are different ways I used to conduct the daily reviews,
if
right?
it is even
Depending,
personal, that can be intrapersonal, because the students, when they are writing
yeah,
self-reflection, it is connected with the interpersonal
yes.
intelligence, right?
Or if they are turn and talk, if they are turn and talk, stop and jot, like it could be, yes, like intrapersonal, correct. It could be that. It could be any kind of intelligences could be used. It could be students going out and doing a simple multiple choice quiz or framing multiple choice quizzes there. So it could be, yeah, it could come under any of these, but it is a
Great.
practice. The daily review is a practice that I used to do before
Mhm.
all my lessons start.
Great, thank you, Miss. I was thinking about how we can, reinforce the multiple intelligence in the classroom. What do you think? What strategy you share with the students that you have developed kinesthetic intelligence, or you have developed visual intelligence or naturalistic intelligence? How we can use or share these phases or different multiple intelligence in the classroom? Yeah, we do understand you can display multiple intelligence theories or things, but in every lesson, how we can reinforce these phases? Do you have any idea?
So, Rizwan, to the
Yeah.
previous question, the example that I shared was actually a formative,
Okay.
endangered species, the ecosystem unit. So that was
Mm-hmm.
actually a formative where I
Mm-hmm.
had got different products from the student, the
Got it.
end product. Like, yeah.
Great.
This question, I didn't get the question. If you could repeat the recent question that you
Okay,
asked.
the recent question is, um, uh, when we take the classes, right, everyday classes, how you can reinforce the multiple intelligence phases, like how we can share the students that you have developed kinesthetic intelligence, you are the full in kinesthetic intelligence, or you are very good in linguistics intelligence, or you're very good at visual intelligence. Do you reinforce these phases in the classroom to the students, so that students can understand, yeah, I'm very good at this intelligence, or something like that, that I shared, that maybe you can write in the anecdotal record, maybe you can write in the report card reports, or you can write in the lesson plan template. But when we interact with the students, how do you share those things?
So,
Uh,
Rizwan, yeah, go ahead, Miss Priya.
uh, okay. So I think this could be done. Um, One is either you map it like based on the different activities that you might have done in a lesson. Say you do 10 activities. All of those 10 activities or formatives, they cater to different kinds of either one of the 9 kinds of intelligences. So probably at the start of the unit, it could be charted out, like put on a chart and like put the different kind of intelligences and then kind of map the activities so the students are also aware.
Exactly.
uh, Students are also aware that this is happening, and there is a conscious effort being made to cater to different kinds of learners. Or there could also be surveys, like there is a test, for different kinds of learners. So um, so that could also be like a roadmap to guide us to understand. Um, Like, you make them take the test. It's an online test. They take it and then they understand. I am mostly a visual learner, or they
Exactly.
understand, okay, they take an online test and
You
then
can
you
even
put
create that
those,
Google form and give it to the students to check their
yeah,
intelligence.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, what is their preference, learning style, what
exactly.
is their preference,
Learning style. Yeah,
exact. So you put that there and put it on a chart, and every time there's an activity, you tell them to categorize it. So then they
exactly.
would probably, that's what I'm thinking.
Great. What I do in, basically, I don't take the classes for the student, but I encourage my teachers to, celebrate the learning style of the student. So, give certificates or give a bracelet or something to the students that, the way we are celebrating the learner profile, the same way we can celebrate the learning styles. Because IB is also focused on the, differentiated teaching and learning, and our school is inclusive school. So we have different, learners, especially special education children. Those are, especially, they don't want to go from one learning style to another learning style. It takes time for them. But the students, those are in a mainstream education, the teachers role should be to encourage them to shift one learning style to another learning style. So they will be expert on all different types of styles. But for, if you have special education children, that is different. But if you have mainstream education, then you can you can encourage them by giving any kind of certificates, by giving any kind of awards, and also can mention the intelligence name on the on the whiteboard. So they'll know if they complete the tasks, they will be developed these 2 or 3 intelligence, or the learning style will be 2 or 3 intelligence. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So now what you're going to do, teachers, think of a simple activity to assess the students in a way that aligns with your classroom, or in your chosen intelligence. So I'm going to play a video first, and then you can complete it based on um, this multiple intelligence. Okay. So let's watch a video.
In 1983, American psychologist Howard Gardner published a book with a theory that there are 9 types of intelligence. To understand this theory, let's consider the problem of the Council of Newtown, who wants to build a bridge over the dangerous railroad tracks. But there is strong opposition from some citizens who don't like change. Despite the demonstrations, the council agrees to go ahead and then hires a team of 9 experts from Smarts & Co. to get the job done. Let's introduce each one of them. Miss Picture Smart played a lot of hide and seek when she was young, and she loved puzzles. She has lots of imagination and ideas about shapes. Her job in the project is to create the plans, make the designs, and build a prototype. Mr. Nature Smart loves trees, and he has great ideas of how to minimize the impact of a bridge on the environment. He started thinking of these issues ever since the first time he went summer camping with Dad. He developed a passion for all living beings. Mrs. Number Smart is a nerd. She always was. In the playground, she was already calculating the sand buckets needed to build the biggest castle. In high school, she was the chess master, and everyone was so proud of her. She will calculate the costs, study workers' safety issues, and estimate the raw materials needed. Her concerns are the budget, resources, and risks. Mrs. People Smart arranges a town meeting and goes out to invite all the citizens to come. She was always good with people. As a kid, she spent most of the time outside with her neighbors. As a teenager, her mum explained to her that most people mean well, even if they have trouble showing their feelings. Today, everyone loves her, and she does a great job convincing everyone, even the most outspoken opponents. Miss Wordsmart has been keeping a diary since she was young. In maths class, she wrote poems, And during field trips, she didn't talk to others, but instead studied the travel guide. For the big town hall meeting, she writes a convincing speech filled with hard facts, big feelings, and good metaphors. Ever since he was young, Jimmy LifeSmart knew how to talk and entertain. Today, he shows his skills on the stage. He starts his speech with a personal story about his cat that once got lost on the train tracks. Then he delivers all the arguments with so much passion that all citizens can only agree with the plan. Miss WordSmart is delighted to see the impact of her work. Now, as construction starts, Mr. BodySmart gets ready to get things done. Even the children are inspired by his power and want to help. During the breaks, he plays football with his team, which is fun and teaches him balance skills he later can use high up in the sky. Madam Self-Smart knows a lot about feelings, our fears, joys and angers. She learned this from her own past where she started to reflect on herself. But she also reads a lot about feelings and talks to her friends about their emotions. During the construction, she is the positive force, motivates those that feel down, and solves tensions that can come up when we collaborate. While everyone is busy finishing the bridge, Mrs. Music Smart writes a song for the grand opening. She has loved music ever since she started playing the piano. Later, she moved on to hip-hop and jazz dance. At the opening ceremony of the bridge, she and her band performed the song. It was a fantastic team effort from all 9 of the Smart & Co. In 2016, Gardner said that he is considering adding pedagogical intelligence, or Teach Smart. What do you think? Is he right or wrong about these types? Or are IQ, EQ,
Okay, teachers. So yeah, it's a wonderful video. I hope you guys enjoy it. So I'm going back to Manjur, Miss. You would like to share something. Um, you raised your hand before. Would you like to share? Um,
No, Rizwan, I just wanted to share this that in our school, the previous organization that I worked, we
okay.
never used to, in the reporting, we never used to write about intelligence of the kids. Okay, so we used to, in their reporting, in the reports also, we used to report about their learner profile or
Mm-hmm.
what skill do they
Actual skills.
majorly exhibit. So multiple intelligence were for us to actually observe in kids, and we used to categorize them usually for our teaching this thing, because sometimes there is also a overlap, sometimes some students showcase two different kind of
Of
multiple
intelligence.
intelligence. So we never used to tell the students that you are a visual learner or you are a kinesthetic learner, but that majorly used to be for the teachers, and we
Okay.
plan accordingly. We try to bring in small differentiation. So
Got
we were also like, we were like starting to differentiate. So we
got
were also learning on the process, but we never had reporting or telling the parents or the kids that they belong in this category. Wanted
got
to
it.
share my experience as
Yeah,
well.
great. From the teacher's perspective, so your work, when you align the multiple intelligence, that you wanted to mean that was more connected with the teacher's perspective, not the student's perspective. Like teachers wanted to see the learning style of the students, but
Yes,
not the,
yes.
categorize the different intelligence to the students that you are developing these things. So so I was thinking that why not we aware or encourage them that you are a kinesthetic learner. Maybe you can need to develop your linguistic learning style. So sometimes they love to more exhibition work, they love to do more project work, but when you give them to write recount or persuasive writing, they sometimes, most of the students, they don't want to write it.
Right.
Report writing, so they don't want to do that. If you tell them to after finding the information, represent through bar graph or pie chart or any kind of pictograph, they love to do it.
Right.
But if you tell them to, after you come back from the field trip and write a recount, right, they feel, oh, okay, it is boring stuff. So so we love to develop their linguistics maybe that depend on the child to child. So we can encourage them to share or to move from one intelligence to another intelligence. Yeah, that can be great. Thank you, Manjumis, for sharing your great thought. Let's do one activity. That one I'm not going to do that because it is more connected with this one. Differentiated assessment based on MI. So here are different topics, mostly are science-based topics. So the human body, habitats and ecosystem, forces and motions, life cycles, environmental awareness. So based on it, what do you think? Can you make one learning objective, tasks, and MI? Need to mention the tasks and need to mention the which intelligence the students can be targeted for this group of students, maybe 1 or 2 MI or one learning objective. Would you like to maybe share, or maybe you can write in the chat box? That's also fine. So I'm giving you 2 minutes to think, to choose one topic from these different topics and share the learning objectives and 1 or 2 maybe multiple intelligence which can be covered or aligned with the multiple intelligence. And yeah, so only objectives, tasks, and MI. For example, if you think about the human body and if you want to take the students to maybe one hospital, or maybe if you invite a guest speaker based on the human body concept, the students maybe develop their kinesthetic because you're taking them for field trip or to visit somewhere. Or if even though you choose ecosystem, you can take the students to go any places for ecosystem field trip. The students, it is basically covered that kinesthetic learning style, right? The students going to go and see and observe the stuffs. But if you think about forces and motion, maybe you have some experiment in the classroom of forces like cars and truck. You can different types of toys in the classroom, even showing the push and pull, depending on the different grade of the students. So you just need to write down the learning objective or share the learning objective. You don't have to write, you can share it as well. And tasks, what will be the tasks, and what categorized, how you can categorize your learning style of the students. Yeah, 1 or 2.
Rezuan, I could share.
Sure. Go ahead, Miss.
Okay, so there was this task the students of grade 7 had to do,
Mm-hmm.
in which they basically the learning objective was uh, how does the surface area of a parachute affect the rate at which an object falls?
Mm-hmm.
And so then the students were divided into groups
Mm-hmm.
based on chits. Groups were formed,
Mm-hmm.
and then the students performed the task. They designed the experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and after they designed it, they tested it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they analyzed. They got their readings. They analyzed the results, and then they came up collectively to a conclusion that greater
Okay,
the area, the slower an object falls to the ground.
great.
So that
Logical.
was so forces and motion.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a learning objective. I've
Mm-hmm.
talked about the task.
Mm-hmm.
And here the multiple intelligences, like I think there are at least three
Logical.
or four. The first I can think of is bodily kinesthetic,
Exactly.
because they had to do the task. It was a lab activity.
Mm-hmm.
All of them had to do it. Um, there was interpersonal intelligence because they had to
It's a
work
group work.
they had to collaborate. Um, and basically intrapersonal as well. They had to be, I mean, the students had to use their own
Own
like
reflections.
planning and all of that. I think that would come. There are
Exactly.
quite a few, I think, except musical and naturalist.
Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah, so that means your tax was very successful because you could connect with different in a learning style, right? Thank you, Miss. Thank you so much for sharing your great thought. I really appreciate it. Anyone else would like to share?
So these were different tasks for the unit, simple machines, forces, and energy for grade six. So we had a group of students who actually shared their learning through a rap song. They created a
Okay.
rap song on energy, so
Okay.
potential energy, kinetic energy. So it was again a voice and choice. The group was formed. They chose their own group, and they've created a rap song on this. So and
Wow.
that stayed, yeah, so that actually now stayed like an anthem in the school. But yes, they were a group of children for forces where they did a project. They created a machine which had at least two or three simple machines in it, like
Okay.
for example a balloon popper,
Yeah.
and something like a lift where they use the class chairs and tables and tried to create the pulley wheel and
Yeah.
axle,
Yeah.
and they tried to
Yeah.
show that. There were another group, this is different tasks in the same unit. There was another group where I had given them two different cars, and I told them, you can walk around anywhere in your school environment, move around, go to different environments and see how far. So they can't calculate speed as such, but he said, see how far the car travels in, for example, in a grass area, a turf area, sandpit, and a smooth marble tile. So
Yeah.
then that was logical. So
Yeah.
different. So
Great.
I gave them some options, but that I told them the surface choice of surface is completely yours. So these are different tasks of different topics in the same unit. So they picked up different areas, and they with the two cars, and that was data collection. So logical thinking, they made a graph and they
Connected with the
said, okay,
mathematics.
yeah, and they were talking about friction and all that.
Wow, such a great job. Well done. Thank you, Miss. So yeah, that's how we can connect with different subjects. That is called integrations, and also we can connect the choice board work. When you give some different choices based, can be connected to technology. That can be connected with the creativity, art, or visual art, and also can be connected to the mathematics. When you give them, after find out the information, they need to represent through any kind of a, fractions or chart papers or bar graph, pie chart, or any kind of way that can be connected with mathematics. So that is great to share the units with connected with different specialist subjects and music as well. Yeah, great example. Great. So yeah, so now we have to think about, this is for PYP teachers and this is for basically MYP teachers, because I've targeted both programs. So teachers, those are in the MYP. You can think about imagine is a kind of a case study. Imagine students are studying technological innovations throughout history and their social impact. Develop differentiated assessment for various levels of understanding. So you can take a screenshot if you are in MYP, and for the PYP you can think of another one, this one. So prepare attacks where the students are exploring different roles within a community. Maybe it is connected with the who here. The students are maybe the big ideas about community. Think about how we could differentiate an assessment tags based on students' level of understanding and communication skills. So you can design, think of one or two tags, one tags which can be connected to learning styles, right, when you take the formative or summative assessment. So this is for PYP and this is for MYP. Would you like to share anything? Okay, let's talk about the PYP one. It says to explore different roles of within a community. So what you can do, we can encourage the students to prepare questions, right? If we invite any guest speaker, so can be guest speaker session can be a formative assessment. And for example, this unit in for grade 2, and they're exploring about the community. and that you need to assess the students in their first lines of inquiry, which is talking about identify different role of the community members, where you have invited maybe a doctor or nurse in your classroom, and you can tell them to prepare the questions. So they are the guest speaker shared the PowerPoint presentations about the role of different community, and the students prepared questions, and also the guest speaker prepared question for the students, and there question and answer sessions. The guest speaker showed some PowerPoint presentation. So it is basically more learning style is basically visual learning styles, and also the student going to write the reflections after the guest speaker, right? So maybe it can be more interpersonal or maybe intrapersonal. It can be an individual reflection. So that's how we can connect any of the concept, any of the tasks which can be aligned with any multiple intelligence, right? For MYP1, we can connect with the technological stuff, because the students in secondary, they are bringing laptops and iPads in school. So they can also represent any of the topic through by preparing posters in the Canva, which can be a kinesthetic, can be a visualized learning style, or can be if you want to take the students to outside of the school for a field trip or any kind of experiment that can be connected with the logical, or can be in naturistics for any kind of boot camp or something like that. So that's how every formative assessment can be connected 2, 3, 4 multiple intelligence. Right. So here you can see one example that I have chosen the water cycle, just for PYP, and there I have chosen 6 tasks, and this is choice board. The student can choose any one of them to to reflect their understanding about the concept or topic. So that's how we can design the tasks, and different students, those are very good in linguistics learning style, they will choose this one. So when you choose any kind of when you prepare your formative assessment or summative assessment, make sure you can give some choice board tasks, or maybe tiered approach, can be a food menus. There are different types of differentiated strategy, or maybe think-tac-toe. So in the think-tac-toe, 9 boxes are there, right? In think-tac-toe strategy. So 9 boxes, you can use the 9 different multiple intelligence, but the concept will be one, right? Like there is a water cycle. So based on water cycle, you can prepare 9 different types of tasks, and those 9 different tasks can be based on different 9 learning styles. Yes, Miss Priya.
Rezuan, I had a question. I wanted
Sure.
to know, so were all students supposed to perform all these tasks, or were they given an option?
You
Or
can,
did
this
you
is
assign
totally,
it?
you can tell them either choose any 2 or maybe 1. That's also okay, because the task is same, the learning objective is same, but outcomes will be in through different the learning style. So you can tell them you can choose any 1 or maybe any 2.
So this would be done after students are well aware of what their learning styles are.
No, not
Because if
really,
you ask them to
because
choose,
yeah.
they'll randomly, they may end up choosing a task which is not suited to their intelligence.
Okay.
So say a kid is not, linguistically proficient, but
Okay.
if you give them the option and then the child chooses, say, 2 tasks out of, say, musical, say, visual spatial and linguistic, but the child is not good at linguistic or not good at either. So then in that case, like, that's why I was asking you, like, do you assign it to them, or if they are not, that's what.
No, thank you for your question. The thing is this, when you start introducing different learning style in the classroom, when you write the learning styles name on the whiteboard, display in the classroom, sharing that, you can also input that, yeah, you are very good in linguistic intelligence. So, when you write the phases or categories of different multiple intelligence in the task room, in the task sheet, or maybe in the computer where you do, the student easily connect it. It will not take much time to choose the task. You can tell them to choose any one task. The question is that next time you can tell, make them encourage to maybe choose any other tax as well. Or maybe what you can do, you can be vice versa. You can tell them, you're going to choose one tax and I will choose one tax for you as a challenge.
Got
So you
it.
can do both. So
Okay, got
which
it.
one he might not go, or she might not go to. There you're going to give a challenge. So that can be vice versa. One choice,
Okay,
one tax chosen by the student, one tax chosen by the teacher.
got it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. This is the technology tools. That was one objective, how we can incorporate technology in multiple intelligence, or maybe differentiated teaching and learning. You can use the Google Slides or Canva to get, prepare posters, online posters. You can use, of course, Padlet and Flipgrid and Kahoot quizzes that also help the students to develop their logical or mathematical intelligence. Kahoot really works, quizzes really works to develop their logical intelligence. So you can use the different technological tools that I always encourage my schools teachers to, apply different kinds of apps in the classroom. So, that will be more easy for the teachers to identify what intelligence the students are. So now I'm going to present one of the work, gallery work for you. So here I'm not going to talk anything. I'm just going to give you 2 minutes to go through it. It's a virtual gallery. Okay, so that's all about today's session. So I'm going to give you a link of today's reflection. So I hope you enjoyed. Do you have any question, teachers?
I don't think so, Rizwan. I think it's quite clear and well presented. Thank you. So, do you have any reflection for us? Like, is it a link or
Yeah,
something?
I'm going to get the link of a Padlet.
Okay.
And there is a questions in the Padlet, so you can see that. Yeah. So this is the question. What was your biggest takeaway from the session on multiple intelligence? So I will request you to write down your name, and also you can write your reflection. So yeah. So
Could you send the Padlet link, please, on the chat?
yeah, sure. Yeah, here we go in the chat box.
Rezuan, can we just fill this up later because this is a break time and we
Sure,
have
sure,
just
sure.
the
We can do that later.
session
Thank you.
starts at 45. If
Thank
that's
you.
okay.
Yes, I just came to tell that you have another 2 minutes
Yeah.
to wrap.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. I could complete the whole stuff within 1 hour.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. That was a lovely session and a lot of learning. So I think we'll just break for now, 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. You can write later. No issues.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Rezuan.
Rezuan.
Thank you,
Thank
Rachel.
you.
Bye bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.